The number of Nepalese applicants for foreign employment has gone down compared to previous years. However, surprisingly, the remittance flow has gone up. Nepal has so far received remittance of over 400 billion rupees in the ongoing fiscal year, and as the imports have gone down, the balance of payment is in surplus. The resource, many opine, could be well used in the investment sector to contribute to the COVID-battered economy. Good morning, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. The U.S. House of Representatives impeaches President Donald Trump for incitement of insurrection at last week's Capitol riot, becomes the first president to be impeached twice. The hearing on the writs filed at the Supreme Court demanding reinstatement of the dissolved lower house inconclusive. Next hearing scheduled for tomorrow. NCP Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal accuses Premier KP Sharma Oli of dissolving the House of Representatives under the influence of India, calls the Premier a political joker. And Paris Saint-Germain lift the French Super Cup for a record-extending 10th time after defeating Olympique de Marseille 2-1. The Supreme Court failed to reach a conclusion on whether to conduct the hearing on the writs filed against the dissolution of the House of Representatives at the Constitutional Bench or a full bench of the court. As a result, the next hearing scheduled for today will once again mull over the issue. Justice Sapna Pradhan Malla was chosen to replace Justice Hari Krishna Karki at the Constitutional Bench as the latter decided to recuse from the bench. The hearing yesterday mostly focused on the structure of the bench. Senior advocates Raman Shrestha, Shambhu Thapa and Dinesh Tripathi, among others, on behalf of the petitioners, demanded for a full bench hearing on the case. They argued that the case does not fall under the jurisdiction of the Constitutional Bench. They said that the decision by the Chief Justice to transfer the case to the Constitutional Bench was faulty and questioned the role of President Bidya Devi Bhandari as well. However, Attorney General Agni Kharel favored hearing through the Constitutional Bench itself, saying that the Constitutional Bench had a better idea on the constitutional provisions. Prime Minister and Chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party has responded to the Election Commission, saying that the party had not split. The Election Commission had demanded for a clarification from the chairman duo of the ruling Nepal Communist Party last Thursday. In his letter to the Election Commission, Premier Oli has mentioned himself as the first chairman of the party and Dahal as the second. He has also stated that the decision of the Dahal Nepal faction to replace him with senior leader Madhav Kumar Nepal was baseless and unofficial. Premier Oli has said the Central Committee meetings held on 22nd and 24th of December last year had amended the party statute and had been functioning accordingly. In the 11-page long letter, the Oli faction has claimed they have the majority in the party. Nepal Communist Party General Secretary Vishnu Paudel, Secretariat Member Ram Bahadur Thapa, Standing Committee members Subhas Nemwang, Top Bahadur Raimaji, Krishna Gopal Shrestha, among others, had reached the Election Commission to submit the letter. Meanwhile, Chairman Dahal has also sent a 4-page letter to the Election Commission claiming they have the majority in the party's Central Committee. Chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, has continued mincing words against Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. In the latest round, Dahal accused the Prime Minister of dissolving the lower house under the influence of southern neighbor India. Addressing cadres of his own faction in the capital, Dahal expressed his atrocity, calling Premier Oli a political joker. Dahal said the Premier's recent moves and expressions were mere drama and farce. Dahal questioned the Premier if the lower house was dissolved under the influence of India, given that the Premier met with Raw Chief Samanta Goyal some time back.
भारतले भन्दैमा हटाउने हो र भनेर हटाएनौं नि त हामीले अनि उहाँले अहिले पार्टी विभाजन गर्ने संविधान संसद भंग गर्ने भारतले भनेर गरे सारा जनताले देखे बुझे यसलाई के भन्नुहुन्छ केपीजी? मेरो प्रश्न, तपाईँ के भन्नुहुन्छ? तपाईँ यसलाई के भन्नुहुन्छ?
The hour-long speech to his cadres was mostly about accusations on Premier Oli. Dahal said the premier had failed to run the government and the party and accused him of plotting against the state, of exhibiting undemocratic role, and acted against the constitution with his lies.
भ्रष्टाचार भयो भनेर आम रूपमा छताछुल्ल बाहिर आयो। त्यसमा सरकारले आफै त्यसमा कुनै न कुनै रूपमा जोडिएको छ भन्ने कुरा पनि छ्यात्तित प्रमाण सहित पनि आयो। अनि उहाँले काम गर्न दिएन भन्ने यो पहिलो कुरा, यो झुटो कुरा हो। यो दुनियाँलाई आँखामा छारो हाल्ने, दिउँसै रात पार्ने यो एउटा जोकरले गर्ने कुरा हो।
During his speech, Dahal also warned that he will bring the premier to his knees at all costs. Dahal said the premier had considered himself above the country and the party, and that the premier's pride had pushed the nation into peril. Other chairman of the Dahal Nepal faction, Madhav Kumar Nepal, expressed similar opinion.
वहाँ बेईमानीको प्रतीक हो, जाल झेलको प्रतीक हो। यसले यस्ता जाली झेली कम्युनिस्ट आन्दोलनमा आइदिए, यही हाम्रो निम्ति सबभन्दा ठुलो टाउको दुखाइको विषय।
The Dahal Nepal faction has called for a protest program on 5th of February in the capital. Nepal's remittance has increased by 10% despite declining number of workers going abroad. So far, the country has received over 416 billion rupees in the ongoing fiscal year. Last year, remittance had gone down by 0.2%. Government data shows the number of Nepalese youths seeking for foreign employment approval went down by 77.9% by mid-December compared to the same period last year that had increased by 11.8%. Likewise, the decline in imports by 9.6% and the surge in remittance has resulted in surplus in balance of payment by 106.48 billion rupees. According to the Nepal Rashtra Bank, the total foreign exchange reserves stood at 12.54 billion rupees, which is expected to cover the import of goods for the next 14 months. CRISPR SARS-CoV-2 is one among the testing kits for coronavirus. In recent time, the kit has gained popularity for its cheaper rates, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has also approved the use of CRISPR SARS-CoV-2. Our colleague Kripal Gautam had a conversation with Nepalese scientist at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT in the U.S., Dr. Digvijay Raja Mahat. Here are some experts.
CRISPR SARS-CoV-2 कस्तो खालको परीक्षण विधि हो?
यो परीक्षण विधि 2020 सालमा नोबेल पुरस्कार जितेको टेक्नोलोजी हो। यो छिटो, छरितो, सुलभ र धेरै जनाको एकैचोटी टेस्टिङ गर्न सक्ने नयाँ प्रविधि हो। 70 मिनेट भित्र यसले 0 देखि स्वाब लिएदेखि रिपोर्ट आउने बेलासम्ममा तपाईको द्रुत गतिमा छोटो समयमा धेरै जनाको रिपोर्ट दिन सक्छ। दुईटा प्रविधि छ। एउटा चाहिँ एउटा ठुलो फेसिलिटीहरु जस्तै एयरपोर्ट, नाका अथवा हाम्रो राष्ट्रिय जनस्वास्थ्य प्रयोगशालामा राख्न सक्ने, त्यसमा यसले एक दिनमा लगभग 8 देखि 10,000 जनाको टेस्टिङ एउटा मसिनबाट दिन सक्छ। यो चाहिँ धेरै जनालाई मास टेस्टिङको लागि यो एउटा पाटो भयो। दोस्रो चाहिँ जुनसुकै ठाउँमा पनि जसले पनि गर्न मिल्ने, सानो भाँडामा लिएर जान मिल्ने र तुरुन्त रिपोर्ट आउने एउटा कागज डुबाएर कागजमा एक धर्का र दुई धर्का हेरेर रिजल्ट आउने यसको अर्को दोस्रो पाटा छ। यो दुईटा पाटा सँगसँगै लगाउन सकिन्छ।
पीसीआर, र्यापिड टेस्ट किट, एन्टिजेन र यसमा चाहिँ के फरकहरु छ र विश्वसनीय छ भन्ने चाहिँ आधारहरु के हुन्?
यो पीसीआर जस्तै टेस्ट प्रविधि हो। यसले भाइरसको आरएनएलाई नै छाम्ने र त्यसलाई नै डिटेक्ट गर्ने प्रविधि हो। एन्टिजेन र्यापिड टेस्ट जस्तो टेक्नोलोजी होइन यो। त्यसकारणले यसको विश्वसनीयता पीसीआर जतिकै छ। पीसीआर को 98-99% जुन हामीले सेन्सिटिभिटी भन्छौं यसको पनि त्यति नै छ। अनि अहिले एफडीए ले मान्यता दिइसकेको टेक्नोलोजी हुनाले अमेरिकामा ड्युक विश्वविद्यालयदेखि बस्टनमा ल्याबहरुमा सुरु हुन गइरहेको टेक्नोलोजी हुनाले यसको विश्वसनीयतामा हामीले खासै धेरै शंका गर्नु पर्दैन।
यो अन्य मुलुकहरुमा चाहिँ यो क्रिस्पर सार्स-कोभ-2 यो प्रविधि प्रयोग गरिरहेका छन् कि छैनन्? यदि छन् भने उनीहरुको प्रतिक्रिया कस्तो छ?
अहिले बस्टन लगायत नर्थ इस्ट अमेरिकाको ल्याबहरूमा यसको रोल आउट हुँदैछ। अस्ति भर्खर उहाँहरूले एउटा प्रेस विज्ञप्ति पनि निकाल्नुभयो, यसको नयाँ भर्जन पनि आउँदैछ। त्यसकारणले अमेरिका बाहेक विश्वका अरू देशहरूमा यो प्रयोग भइसकेको छैन। हामीले यो प्रविधि विकास हुँदाहुँदै एउटा जमर्को गरेर देश नेपालमा यसको सुहाउँदो ठाउँ छ। नेपालको टेस्टिङ हामीले जुन बेला पिसिआरको धेरै बेर रिपोर्ट कुर्नुपर्ने, महँगो, धेरै लाइन भएको बेलामा यो टेक्नोलोजीको राम्रो प्रयोग हुनसक्छ भनेर हामीले पहिलेदेखि नै जमर्को गरेको हुनाले आजको मितिमा हाम्रो देशमा आइपुगेको हो। तर विदेशमा अमेरिका बाहेक अरू देशहरूमा यसको रोल आउट भइसकेको छैन।
It is the first day of the Nepalese month of Magh today. The day is celebrated as Maghe Sangranti in the hilly areas of Nepal, while the Tarai celebrates the Maghi festival today. According to Hindu astrology, on this day, the sun shifts from Sagittarius to Capricorn zodiac, making it a special occasion. People, especially from the Tharu, Chantyal and Magar communities, take baths in rivers and lakes, carry out prayers, and consume ghee and molasses. The Tharus also carry out their original tradition of choosing a leader on this day. While the people in the hilly areas feast on ghee, molasses, and yams, those in the Tarai region feast on their local delicacies called dikri and gungi. Meanwhile, the government has declared a public holiday on the occasion of Maghe Sangranti today. However, the celebrations this year has been subdued due to the ongoing coronavirus threat, and people are celebrating the day by adopting necessary health precautions. The day has also been celebrated as National Yoga Day. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the locals in Rukum what is the reason behind a rising corruption in local levels. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
पैसा कमाउनको लागि राजनीति गरे र त्यसैले चाहिँ यिनीहरूले पैसा कमाउनु भ्रष्टाचार चाहिँ गर्छन्। 10 रुपैयाँ पर्ने चाहिँ माग्छलाई 55 रुपैयाँको बिल पेश गर्छ राज्य माथिकैले। अब स्थानीय चाहिँ कुरै भएन। स्थानीय तिनीका चेलाचाली भइगे।
सरकारमा पुगिसकेपछि तिनीहरूलाई सब पुगिहाल्छ। अनि पछि फेरि भोट माग्न आउँछन्। अब हामीलाई उ गरे जस्तै के हेपे जस्तै।
केन्द्रीय नेताहरूको गुण सिकेर उनीहरू भ्रष्टाचारतिर गर्न उनीहरू उद्धत भए।
संघर्षबाट आमूल परिवर्तन गर्छौं भन्ने मान्छेहरूले आमूल परिवर्तनको सट्टा आफूलाई आमूल परिवर्तन व्यक्तिगत आमूल परिवर्तन गर्नुभयो, तर राष्ट्र र जनताको लागि आमूल परिवर्तन भएन।
And it's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. And here's the question. Why have the programs introduced by the government to increase employment opportunities not been implemented? Your options are A, apathy from leadership, B, effects of pandemic, and C, intention to misuse budget. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And that's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.